There were also some bad lines at the town hall tonight, and so one of the issues that came up for both Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton was what will happen if Hillary Clinton wins? There are all these millions of Bernie Sanders supporters. Should they automatically vote for Hillary Clinton? Should she do something to appeal to them? So she had an opportunity here to address those millions of voters and say whether, if she was to win, would she be willing to adopt some of the positions that brought them into this campaign? And this is the answer that she gave.
When Senator Sanders has been asked about how this all ends, he seems to be saying now that even if you beat him in the primary, it's not necessarily a given that he will implore all of his supporters to go out and work for you. He says that he thinks that they'll support you if basically you adopt some of his platform on the issues that are most important to him. He's specifically talked about Wall Street and some other things in his platform. Does that make sense to you? Is that something that you'd be open to? Are there significant enough differences between you on what you'd like to do, for example, about Wall Street, that's a bridge too far?
Well, Rachel, let's look where we are right now. I've got 10.4 million votes. I have 2.7 million more votes, real people showing up to cast their vote, to express their opinion, than Senator Sanders. I have a bigger lead in pledged delegates than Senator Obama, when I ran against him in 2008, ever had over me. I am winning, and I'm winning because of what I stand for and what I've done and what my ideas are. So, look, I think we have much more in common, and I want to unify the party. But my Wall Street plan is much more specific than his. We saw that when he couldn't even answer questions in the New York Daily News interview. I have laid out a very clear set of objectives about not just reining in the banks, because we already have Dodd-Frank, which President Obama passed and signed. And I've said I will implement it. But I've gone further. He has yet to join me in going after the shadow banking industry. So there are so many areas where I'm more specific, where I have a track record, where I explain what I will do. And I think that's why I have 2.7 million more votes than he does.
Am I right in hearing that as basically you saying that there's nothing you're going to do differently than you're already doing as a way to try to win over his supporters, even at the end of the primary season?
Well, let's look what happened in 2008, because that's the closest example. Then Senator Obama and I ran a really hard race. It was so much closer than the race right now between me and Senator Sanders.
You get from what she was saying and the facial expressions in that second section when Rachel actually asks her to answer the question, she says, I didn't ask for him to, give me conditions. She's disgusted by the very idea that she would have to do anything to earn the vote of millions of people.
Yeah.
She finds the idea offensive. Not just no, but no and screw you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's the opposite.
It's amazing.
So it's funny, I defended Hillary earlier on the TPP when she switched, right? Because people are like, oh, look how obvious and transparent. She's just flipping and I'm like, hey, that's what you're supposed to do as a politician. She talked to her constituency. They're overwhelmingly against it. She decided, I was wrong. I'm going to represent my constituency. They're against it. Now I'm against it because they're against it. So I kind of defended her on that. And now she's doing the exact opposite. Fuck them. I don't have to do anything to get your vote. I'm the Democrat. You're supposed to vote for me. And I'll say it again. Hillary Clinton is not the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is not Hillary Clinton. You do not owe your vote to anybody. It's up to her to come earn it. And it sounds like, to me, she's not going to earn it. And if you vote for Hillary Clinton, you're voting for the person who is polling the worst against Donald Trump. So if you vote for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump becomes president, it's on you.
So she says that she will end Citizens United. So one of the things that I would want, if she was going to win, that Bernie would ask for is, okay, I want you to say that a litmus test for any nominee to the Supreme Court will strike down Citizens United when the first opportunity to do so comes up, which should be easy for her to say since she says she's against it. But she won't even give that at this point. She will give nothing. And look, I hope that a lot of the people who've already voted, who are Bernie Sanders supporters, were watching this, because it gives you a very clear idea of who she is, her position. And also, I mean, Do you think that you should be diplomatic? Do you think that you should give something? I've got 2.7 million more votes. The premise of the question was hypothetically if you win. Thus, we assume at that point you'll have more votes.
Yes.
So it makes no sense to say, well, I have more votes, so I don't have to do anything. That doesn't make any sense. That is pure arrogance, and that's all that it is.
So she makes the point about how I supported Barack Obama since the day I dropped out. Yeah. Well, Bernie, and when was that? That was in fucking June, and Bernie hasn't dropped out yet. So what is all this finger wagging about I didn't demand anything and not got...
I guarantee you there were demands.
Probably
you know the Secretary of State
Because
position.
here's what happens when that happens. When normal politicians drop out of a primary and you want to get their voters to support, what they do is promise shit to that politician personally, meaning a personal reward, not a reward for their positions or a reward for their voters, but a reward to that politician personally.
Yeah.
Like when Hillary Clinton dropped out and Barack Obama promised to make her Secretary of State. I can't prove that.
Yeah.
But so that's the kind of shit. And so when that question was asked on this stage, right here at this desk by Cenk Uygur to Bernie Sanders, I was sitting next to Jane, and he said, what would you want in order to throw the support behind Hillary Clinton? And Jane turned to me and said he wouldn't want anything for himself, and that's exactly what came out of it. He said, "Well, I have $15 minimum wage." He started naming policy positions that he would want. Not I wanted to make me Secretary of State or chief of the blah blah blah. It was all about the thing. It's all about the revolution. It's all about the movement. It's all about fixing the problem.
Yeah.
It's not about personal, and that's what she wouldn't. She didn't have again. Here we are. Hillary still doesn't have a message. She didn't have a message back then. That's why she didn't have anything to get out of Barack Obama except something personally for herself. Yeah. And she said, I supported Barack Obama because the differences between Barack Obama and me pale in comparison between the difference between me and the Republicans. Turns out they don't. They don't pale in comparison. And that's why Bernie Sanders is so popular. A 74-year-old guy, bald guy, Jewish guy from Brooklyn is on your heels with no establishment, all the media against him, no corporate money, everything going against him. That's why, because people are sick and fucking tired of that.
Yeah.